The morning it happened began like every other hard morning in South Chicago, with cold wind cutting through thin jackets and hope feeling just as fragile. Grace Thompson, a young black waitress with tired eyes and a stubborn heart, had woken before sunrise knowing this day mattered more than any other. By noon, she was supposed to start her first shift at a high-end downtown restaurant, the kind of place she had dreamed about since culinary school, the job that promised health insurance, steady pay, and a way out of the cycle of barely surviving. She had polished her shoes, pressed her uniform, and whispered a prayer before stepping outside, not knowing that one act of kindness would cost her everything she thought she needed, and give her something far greater in return. Before the story unfolds any further, pause for a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that doing the right thing still matters in this world, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Grace's life had never been easy. Raised by her grandmother Ruth, a church-going woman who cleaned offices at night, Grace learned early that dignity was something you carried inside, not something money gave you. After Ruth passed away, Grace worked 2 jobs, studied part-time, and slept too little, all while chasing a dream that felt just out of reach. That new restaurant job was proof that her sacrifices meant something. It was her turning point. She walked fast toward the bus stop, heart pounding with nerves and excitement, rehearsing everything she needed to do to make a good first impression, when she noticed a commotion near the crosswalk. An elderly man lay on the sidewalk, his body twisted unnaturally, his expensive coat soaked by a spilled cup of coffee. People passed by, some slowing down, others pretending not to see. Grace hesitated for a split second, the weight of the clock pressing on her chest. She knew she would be late if she stopped. She knew first impressions mattered. But she also knew what her grandmother had taught her, that God sometimes tests us when it costs the most. Grace knelt beside the man, ignoring the cold concrete, checking his breathing, using what little first aid training she remembered from church volunteering. She waved down help, called for an ambulance, and stayed with him as his breathing faltered and his eyes fluttered open with fear and confusion. By the time paramedics arrived, Grace's hands were shaking, her uniform stained, her carefully planned morning completely shattered. She rode in the ambulance briefly to make sure the man was stable, giving her name to the hospital staff before finally leaving, heart sinking as she checked the time. When she reached the restaurant over an hour late, breathless and apologetic, the manager barely listened. Policies were policies. They needed reliable staff. Dreams didn't matter if you couldn't show up on time. Grace walked back outside holding back tears, the city suddenly louder, colder, and more unforgiving than ever before. The days that followed were some of the darkest Grace had known. Her savings ran out quickly. One job cut her hours. Another closed unexpectedly. Bills piled up. Faith wavered. She questioned whether kindness was a luxury meant only for those who could afford it. Yet every Sunday, she still found herself in the back pew of a small church, singing softly, praying quietly, trying to believe that her sacrifice wasn't meaningless. Somewhere deep inside, a small voice told her that what she did mattered, even if no one else seemed to care. Weeks later, Grace received a call from a hospital administrator asking her to come in. Confused and wary, she took a bus across town, expecting nothing. Inside a quiet private room sat the elderly man she had helped, now healthier, his posture straighter, his eyes sharp with intelligence. His name was Harold Whitman, and he thanked her in a way that felt heavier than words. Grace soon learned that Harold wasn't just any patient. He was the founder of a multinational logistics company, a self-made billionaire known for his influence and guarded nature. On the day he fell, he had been walking alone, refusing security, believing independence mattered more than caution. Harold had asked about her, searched for her, and learned the truth about what her kindness had cost her. He didn't offer pity. He offered respect. He spoke about a world that rewarded ambition but often forgot compassion, and how Grace reminded him of values he once lived by before success hardened him. Grace listened, overwhelmed, never once expecting what came next. Harold arranged for Grace to receive full tuition to finish her education, not as charity, but as investment. He helped her secure a position managing community programs within his company's restaurant partnerships, a role that combined her love for food, service, and people. More importantly, he ensured she had stability, healthcare, and the dignity she had nearly lost. Grace didn't become rich overnight, but she became secure, respected, and seen. Years passed, and Grace grew into a leader who never forgot where she came from. She started a foundation in her grandmother Ruth's name, helping service workers access emergency support when life interrupted their jobs. She stood in kitchens and community halls, telling her story not to glorify herself, but to remind others that integrity still has power. Harold watched proudly from a distance, knowing that one fall on a cold sidewalk had changed more than just his life. If this story is touching your heart right now, if you feel that lump in your throat or that quiet reminder to be kinder in a harsh world, please take a second to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement helps spread stories that restore faith in humanity. And before this story ends, I have one special request for you. Please comment the word kindness below if you believe one selfless act can change a destiny. Grace still remembers that morning, not as the day she lost her dream job, but as the day she discovered who she truly was. In a world that measures worth by time cards and titles, she chose compassion over convenience. And in doing so, she gained something far greater than money. She gained purpose. She gained legacy. And she proved that sometimes, when you lose everything for doing what's right, you're actually standing at the very beginning of your greatest blessing.